Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Veda Leclerc. She is a functional health practitioner that focuses on gut health and hormones. Welcome, Veda. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
Excellent. I am so happy and honored and excited to finally have you here. We were talking off air before we jumped on, and I was just thanking you for your patience and your understanding. So I'm so grateful to have you here today to finally get your recording done and share all about the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do and a little bit about your story and your journey. So with that being said, let us jump right in. As mentioned, you are a functional health practitioner. I'm curious, what inspired you to become a functional health practitioner, and were there some personal health struggles for you, and how did your personal journey help shape the way you approach health and wellness?
Yeah, so I went on a huge health journey that has ultimately led me to what I do today. I was not always into health. That was never my thing. It was never my jam. And just like long story short, in high school, I started experiencing some really weird symptoms. It started off with a skin rash over my face, and I went to the dermatologist. They pretty much just said, get a better moisturizer. That didn't really do anything. So it wasn't causing any sort of physical pain. So I kind of just brushed it off. I was like, whatever. And that winter, it was like right before Christmas, and I came down with an extremely bad illness. Like I was bedridden. I was crawling to the bathroom. I had no energy, no appetite, all the things. And I went to the doctor, and they ran a bunch of labs and all of that, and everything kept coming back normal. And they're like, it's a virus. It's going to pass. So be it. So during that time, I just laid in bed, like hoping that it was going to naturally pass. And eventually it did. I did start to get back up on my 2 feet. I was about like 2 weeks long of being bedridden. And I thought, okay, that was that. I honestly forgot about the skin rashes. And 2 months later, so now in February, the following year, I felt extremely ill again. This time I actually felt worse. I literally felt like I was dying. I went to the doctors. They kept telling me everything was normal. I felt absolutely miserable. I literally thought it was my deathbed. And I was like, what is going on? I literally just got sick 2 months ago. Here I am sick again. And the thing that was different about this time is even though I hopped back up on my 2 feet and I wasn't necessarily bedridden, a huge wave of physical and emotional symptoms came out of nowhere. So I started having horrible GI symptoms of bloating and irregular bowel movements and indigestion. And my skin started freaking out, like breaking out like crazy. My hair was falling out in clumps. I had all these symptoms. And I also had now anxiety and depression. And those were two things that I had never overly dealt with before. And I was like, this is weird. I remember waking up from a dead sleep, having a full-blown panic attack. And I didn't know where it was coming from. I couldn't put a label on, oh, there's something bad happening in my life that's causing all this anxiety. And I think that was the most frustrating part because I was like, I don't know what's causing it. So I don't know how to fix it. And I ended up dealing with really bad depression. I didn't leave my house. I cried every day. I had panic attacks. I was out of school, out of sports, and I ended up being put on an antidepressant. I was put on some other medications for like my physical symptoms. And I just literally felt the worst I'd ever felt. And eventually, about 2 years later, after dealing with these symptoms and my hair, my hair getting to the point where it was falling out in clumps so bad, my family and I thought possibly like cancer. Like, what if there's something deeper going on? So that triggered my mom to be like, hey, we need to dive into this a little bit more. And she brought me to who she was seeing, a naturopath, functional doctor. And I went to the doctor and she ran just a bunch of blood work. And she was like, there's tons of imbalances going on. There's tons of different stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, like a little bit of answer. And she gave me like some supplements, some lifestyle diet regimen to do. And I started to feel a little bit better, but it wasn't nearly as good as I thought. And when she retested my blood results, it was still not where she wanted them to be. So she had a lingering feeling of maybe we should test her for Lyme disease. So it was now 2020, the year of COVID. I was going into college, an entirely different state. We were masked everywhere, couldn't really communicate with anyone. And I remember getting a phone call from my doctor like a month in, and she's like, you tested positive for Lyme disease. And I had this huge weight lifted off my shoulders because I was like,
I'm sure.
Oh my God, that is exactly why I've been experiencing all the mental, emotional, physical symptoms. My mom's like freaking out. Oh my God, you have Lyme disease. Like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, praise the Lord. Thank you.
I have answers.
Exactly. And because I went undiagnosed for so long, I couldn't just do a quick round of antibiotics, call it a day. I had to completely change my lifestyle. It started off with my diet and then the lifestyle habits. I took some herbs to kill off my Lyme disease. And it's been a long journey, but I'm now at that point where my Lyme disease is no longer active. I'll always have it, but it's no longer active and giving me symptoms. And it was through the power of all of that healing that I healed myself essentially. So now I have this huge inspiration and like desire to now help other women who might be dealing with similar symptoms to show them there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even if it feels like there isn't one.
Yeah. Wow. 2 years of that shit, having to go through and deal with that, with feeling sick. And I'm sure feeling sick and tired of being sick too. And what the fuck is this? And all of the things like, wow. What would you say then was your biggest takeaway or most valuable lesson from your journey, from your personal journey?
How much conventional medicine fails us, I think, is the biggest thing. If that very first time I was really sick, if they just ran the right labs, if they actually asked me more questions rather than just, oh, everything's normal, go home, not ask me about my diet, not ask me about my lifestyle, any of those things, I wouldn't have had to wait 2 years. And I keep learning that too, like with my clients, when they come to talk to me and they're like, my doctor keeps saying everything's normal. My doctor's prescribing me this med and this. And I'm like, what? Like, why are they doing that? That doesn't even make sense. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I learn and that I'm continuing to learn through my clients is how much they fail us.
For sure. I mean, Western medicine, doctors are put on pedestals like they know everything. They're gods and they have all the answers, and they don't. They're human beings just like everyone else. I think that we need Western medicine for some things. We cannot completely disregard Western medicine. We do need it. But wouldn't it be incredible to have a world where Western medicine and other practices come together and work together in conjunction with one another to support the patients, because that's what it's about, is the patients. But I think that Western medicine has become this machine, this massive machine where they don't have time. It's just you get 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is with your patient, and that's it. It's the drive-through method it's like the McDonald's drive-through method of medicine. Right. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. And I hear this all the time in speaking with health practitioners or people who worked in Western medicine and have now transitioned out of that into natural function medicine, practicing, and all of these things, because they just can't deal with the way the wheels of Western medicine turn and how long it takes to get anything done. And this McDonald's drive-through method of medicine, you're not serving your patients. You're not helping people. It's just, let's just write them a prescription and send them on their way. They'll be okay. Exactly. They don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Or they don't have maybe not that they don't give a shit, but they don't have the time to give a shit, which is horrible that we've gotten to this place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad. Mm-hmm. So how does functional medicine, in your opinion, differ from conventional? And why do you believe it's such an important approach in today's world?
Yeah. So I think with conventional medicine is they're treating the symptom or they're treating the paper. So if you get blood work done and it's showing that your thyroid antibodies are super high, okay, here's a thyroid medication. We'll follow up in 6 months if we need to up the dose or lower the dose. And they're also treating the symptom. So if a client comes to them with heavy periods, birth control, oh, I have acne, spironolactone, and I have high blood pressure. Here's blood pressure med. Like they hand it out like literal candy. Where functional medicine, we are looking at the whole picture. So, okay, you have high blood pressure, you have acne, you have heavy periods. The question becomes why? Why is that there in the first place? It's not just, oh, we'll just treat the acne and give you some medication or some face serum to get rid of it. No, we need to look at your gut health, your hormone health, your liver health, your mindset. Why is that acne there in the first place? And that's because we are looking for a long-lasting change. Medications, if they truly made that big of a difference in those small symptoms, why do you keep going back for them? Why does all of a sudden you're on blood pressure medication and 3 years later you're on 5 other medications? Clearly there's something that's not connecting and missing. Whereas functional medicine, we're like, no, we're going to look at the body as a whole. The process may take longer. It may take more commitment and getting out of your comfort zone, but it gives you a long-lasting change where you now have these healthy habits that are going to take with you for the rest of your life, so you can avoid going on as minimal medications as possible that don't have all these side effects. And now you're in a whole different boatload and disease and all of that. So that, I would say, is like the main difference between functional and conventional.
I mean, let's be honest, the pharmaceutical companies play a huge part in all of this because they want to keep people sick because it's a money-making business. They don't give a shit about the health of people. They just want to make money. That's what it's about. And I often wonder, do the doctors get kickbacks for the medication that they prescribe? And there's so many pieces to this. And I mean, we could go down a whole rabbit hole and that it could turn into an incredibly a whole other conversation because there's a lot there to unpack and talk about, but we'll save that for another time and we'll just keep with the theme here today. So for someone unfamiliar with functional health, how would you explain its core principles in simple terms?
So I would say functional medicine in simple terms is when we take your diet, your lifestyle, your mindset, the environment you live in, pretty much anything that is in your world. We take that into consideration when then trying to heal you and help you, rather than just, oh, you have this one symptom. Okay, we're just going to fix that specific symptom. Whereas functional medicine is really we're trying to find the root cause of, okay, not just the thing that you're experiencing, the outside appearance or physical symptom or mental symptom that you have, but the root cause as to where that's coming from. So that's like the main thing of functional medicine, is finding the root of it rather than just, oh, it's the result of the root.
Okay. And so what are some common misconceptions that people have about functional health? And how do you address those?
Yeah, I feel like a lot that I hear, especially when people reach out to me, they're thinking about working with me, and they immediately assume that they're going to have to stop living. They're like, I'm not going to be able to go out and eat with my friends. I'm never going to be able to have an alcoholic beverage. I'm going to have to literally eat grass every day. I'm going to have to go to the gym. And it's no, that's not how we work. That might be what the world portrays us, but that's not how it works. And a good way that I like to look at it is if we compare like the word diet to health. Diet has dye in it. It's not sustainable. You may do it for 30 days, but guess what? You're going back to your old habits. Whereas health has the word heal in it. And health is a long-term solution. That's what I'm aiming for with my clients and in the functional medicine world, is we're not just a quick 30-day fix. You're good to go. You can return to all your habits. We're looking for healing, for a long-lasting transformation. Yes, it's going to involve you not going to McDonald's 4 times a week, not staying up till 2 a.m. Like, yeah, but that's just the stepping out of your comfort zone. It requires discipline. I was in that same boat before I went on my health journey. I was interested in all that stuff, not going to the gym. That was not on my to-do list. And it just becomes this transformation that you're then motivated to keep doing it. And one thing I'm really huge on with my clients is 1% shifts. So when you work with me, I'm not like starting tomorrow, you have to basically cut out all these things out of your life and live a whole different life. 1% better every day. Okay, for this week, we're going to work on going to bed an hour earlier, and then just start making slow habits. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And like I said earlier, they think they literally have to stop living if they want to work on their health.
I love that analogy of diet and health. Diet has the word die in it, and health has heal. I've never heard that before, and I've never even thought about that before. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. What role do lifestyle factors like stress, sleep, as you just mentioned, and nutrition play in your functional health approach?
Yeah, so those are like the biggest things. I always, like a lot of the times too, people will reach out to me and they'll be like, what's the best supplement to take for this thing? And I'm not against supplements. I definitely recommend them in my practice because our food is just so nutrient depleted that you need something to ultimately supplement what the world is lacking. But if I were to just hand you a supplement for every symptom, I'm no different than a doctor. I'm just like here, and you're not really getting to the root cause of it. But in my practice, I do lab testing, and not only do we want to get rid of the imbalances that lab testing is showing, but we want to prevent them from happening again. And in order to prevent them from happening again, that's when the diet and the lifestyle and the mindset all come in place. Because ultimately, having a bad diet, not getting enough sleep, being stressed all the time is what got you in the state that you're in today. So it's like the biggest component that I work on with my clients, especially the mindset piece, because if you don't have the willingness and the desire to go out and change your diet, or you don't have the motivation, or you have low self-esteem, low self-worth, you're never going to change your diet. You're never going to find motivation to go to the gym. So I think that mindset piece and that stress component is like the top of the top. And then it's like the diet, the lifestyle, all of that. And then supplements come last.
Can we also factor in here the fact that generally people are looking for the magic bullet fix? They don't want to do the work. They want a quick, easy fix, because we become this society where we want everything now. We want the results now. We don't want to wait. We don't want to work for them. We want it now, and that's it. So that plays a big part in it too, I'm sure, is that people want, so what can you, like you said, can you just give me a supplement? Like, that's not the way to approach it. It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. What are some challenges that you often encounter in the realm of functional health, and how do you navigate the challenges for the benefits of your clients?
I think one of the biggest challenges is people don't understand that healing is a journey. It's a journey you're going to forever be on. Even though, like I said, I'm not dealing with all those symptoms I mentioned earlier, I'm not dealing with chronic Lyme disease anymore, but there's still days where I don't sleep as good. I wake up with a headache. Maybe my digestion's a little bit off, because we all go through different seasons of life. Now, that doesn't mean you're not doing enough, that you need to do more, that you're doing anything wrong. It's called, we live in a toxic world. There's going to be days where you can't get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. There's going to be seasons of life that are more stressful. You step out into the world and you're being exposed to toxins. Like, that's stuff that you can't necessarily avoid. And I think that's what a lot of my clients and a lot of people I talk to don't fully understand. And I didn't even understand this at the first, is that we think, okay, I'm going to invest in working with a health practitioner like myself, and it only goes up from here. But what they don't realize is, no, it goes up and down and up and down. And it's literally like a roller coaster, but that's okay. And I think more people need to be accepting of that. And I wish that's something I was accepting of during my health journey, is because we get so fixated on the outcome. And if we're not achieving it, we feel like we're taking 10 steps back and we're doing something wrong. When in reality, it's just, that's literally a part of life. And there's no way around that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like cars too. We have to maintain. You don't just take it, get it out and done. You don't have to change the oil again.
Right.
You don't have to change the filter. You don't have to change the fluids. No, you have to continually maintain, just like with your health. Mm-hmm. You have to do things that you're continually maintaining your health and your practices. Mm-hmm. It takes work. It's just like healing in general, like doing the inner work. Mm-hmm. on ourselves. That never ends. It never stops. The self-love journey. Mm-hmm. that you don't just, okay, I love myself today and that's it. You have to continually work on these things. It's a never ending process.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't end. The work never ends.
Right.
It may get a little bit easier as you progress through things, but there's going to be other challenges that come up that you have to work on and deal with.
Exactly.
The work never stops. So the mind-body connection, of course, is integral to holistic health. In what ways do you address and foster the mind-body connection in your practice?
Yeah. So one of the best things that I have is I actually have an emotional mindset coach on my team. So now my clients get like the physical aspect from me if I analyze their lab results, give them protocols. But then I have a coach who's emotional mindset that we have monthly calls with, that she like really dives into the mindset piece and that nervous system regulation. She's all about healing your inner child and figuring out all these mindset things that are popping up. And also, I am a huge component on that. I meet the client where the client's at. I'm a very bio-individual approach. It's not, okay, you work with me, I'm just going to slap the same protocol, the same suggestions on everyone. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. Everyone has different lifestyles, and their mindset is honestly one of the most important things to me, especially because, like I said earlier, if your mindset is out of balance, you're not going to find the time to prioritize your physical health. So it always comes down to that. And I like to think of myself as a very like empathetic practitioner because I've walked in the shoes that they're now walking in. So I always remind them, you don't need to be perfect. If there's something on this protocol that's stressing you out, tell me about it. Like, I'd rather you tell me versus completely avoiding it and not doing it. I really want to get to the root of their why, on like why they're doing this, how it's going to better them, their family, other generations, versus just let's fix your bloating and call it a day.
And how do stress and unresolved trauma manifest physically? And how can functional health address those issues?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think so many people have dysregulated nervous systems due to whether it's like trauma when they were younger or trauma recently, whether it's limiting beliefs of like literally believing that your body is incapable of healing, or believing, oh, I'm a mom, I'm older, I'm a woman, I won't be able to heal. I'll never look like that way again. And your body, like your cells literally listen to your thoughts. So every single time you feed your mind a negative thought, you're going to have the physical result of that. And I see it all the time in my client lab tests is like, there will be certain markers that are screaming like that you have nervous system dysregulation, that your adrenals are taxed out. There's something on one of the tests I do called a calcium shell, where calcium literally starts to form around your cells as a defense mechanism due to trauma. And your body has it, it listens to your thoughts. And if you have all this trauma going on, if you feel like, oh no, that's in the past, I don't think about it anymore, your body still thinks it's there. And it literally can't tell the difference between you physically running from a bear or it just, I have so much self-doubt in my mind and it views that as you running from a bear. It is such a huge connection. Like, we literally have the gut-brain axis of, a lot of the times I see gut issues stemmed from a dysregulated nervous system and being stressed all the time and having all these things. So it's so important to integrate the mind and the body in every practice that you do, no matter who you are as a doctor, whether you're conventional or functional, like that must be a key when helping people get better.
Yeah, the way we speak to ourselves can be very detrimental. We have to be very mindful of the things we say to ourselves because, like you said, our cells listen, they know.
Exactly.
And I have a friend of mine, and I talk about this with him all the time, and he just thinks I'm crazy. It's like, no, you have to be mindful of what you say to yourself. If you're talking about and always thinking, oh, I'm sick, it's going to be this or it's going to be that, or your body's going to start to create that in you. Right. You have to be very careful about how we speak to ourselves. And that speaks to self-love, everything. Mm-hmm. You have to be very careful. You think about it, and I hear so many people say, would you talk to your best friend the way you speak to yourself? Or would you speak to a family member the way you speak to yourself? No, you probably wouldn't. So why is it okay to speak to ourselves in that manner? It's not. Mm-hmm. But it's a hard thing to get into, and to have the self-awareness of how we speak to ourselves. You have to be very mindful for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I spend such a huge focus on it with my clients, because that connection is so important. If you're continuously speaking bad things into you, I can recommend all the supplements, the diet, the lifestyle, but you're not going to heal because your mindset isn't where like your heart is and where the physical aspect of that is. Yeah, I totally agree that mindset is the most important thing. And it's something that I realize now that I've gone through my health journey, but in the midst of it, I had all the same beliefs of like body's never going to heal. When I was dealing with really bad acne at the time, I'd wake up and I'm instantly looking in the mirror. Is there a new breakout? I'm prone to everything I eat. It's going to cause me a symptom. And guess what? It did. And it wasn't until I stopped thinking that way and was like, you know what? My body's capable of healing that I actually saw the biggest transformation.
That's huge. And so what role does gut health play in overall wellness, and why is it so often referred to as the second brain?
Yeah, so gut health is super important. I would say it's like almost second of the mindset and the brain, just because our gut microbiome influences everything. A lot of women, I'm sure a lot of women listening to this are always like hormones. Like, I want to fix my hormones. I want to heal my hormones. It's like the buzzword out there. And you can't fix your hormones if you have bad gut health. And so many people, it goes back to the thing of, oh, I think I have elevated estrogen, or I think I have elevated cortisol. Okay, a doctor may give you some medication or birth control or a supplement, a functional medicine might give you a supplement, but why is it elevated? Why is it dysregulated? And it most of the time comes down to the gut. If you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, if you have a hidden pathogen, this literally is a huge burden on your liver, and that's where hormones get metabolized. So now your hormones are being put on the back burner. Your body's not prioritizing them. If you're even trying to have a kid and you can't get pregnant, it could be due to your gut health. So gut health is such a huge thing, and it's not, let me just take a random supplement type of gut health thing, or let me take a greens drink or a probiotic. That's not gut health. That is not gut health. Let me just put it out there. That's why I do one of the lab tests I do. We take a whole viewpoint of your gut to figure out what the heck's going on. And even your gut health can influence your mental health. There's literally strains of bacteria that are linked to anxiety. And gut health is, like you said, it's like the second brain of, it's so important. Of when you get your gut health feeling better, a lot of the times your mental symptoms start to improve as well.
That makes total sense, right? So what are some simple yet powerful dietary changes that people can make to improve their overall health, if there is such a thing?
I think one of the biggest ones is to remove seed oils, because they are so inflammatory to the body. They are likely causing a lot of your mental, emotional, and physical symptoms. So those are things like canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil. They're in a lot of things that you eat when you go out to a restaurant. 90% of the time, that's what they're cooking their food in. So just swapping those for like olive oil, avocado oil, ghee butter, grass-fed butter, rather than using pan spray, use like avocado oil spray or something like that. Really helpful change that you can start off with. And just reducing the amount of inflammatory foods that you're eating as much as possible. I know if I tell people they should cut out gluten, they're prone to be like, oh my God, no, I'm not being. So I hate to be like, throw that out there right at the beginning, but just reducing your amount of inflammatory foods as much as possible. And then I think my other third biggest one is try to foster a good relationship with food. I think so many people, women especially, are just dealing with like calories in, calories out, hitting their macros and like fixating on, oh, I'm not losing weight, I need to eat less. And they have such a bad mindset, and they're skipping meals, they're skipping breakfast and all that. So if you can do anything, it's to foster a healthy relationship with food. And that's going to carry you much further, because at the end of the day, like, you can eat healthy food, but if you're stressing about what you're eating, you're in that state, or you're skipping meals, even though your meal at 12 o'clock is a huge salad, but you skipped all of breakfast and stuff, that causes a stress response on your body, and it's ultimately causing inflammation. It's causing gut imbalances. It's causing all the things. So you can have the healthiest diet in the world, but if you don't have that good relationship with food, then it can have a ripple effect and cause some negative side effects.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, beyond dietary changes, how do you encourage clients to integrate holistic lifestyle modifications into their daily routines for long-term health benefits?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, the way I work with my clients is very bio-individual, and I work with they are in their lifespan, like someone that is a college student versus someone who's a mom versus not a mom versus someone who's like way older. I'm going to handle them very differently. And you have the standard of eat non-inflammatory foods, get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, move your body daily. Those are like the standards that everyone has. But like I said, I work with my clients. There's some clients where I literally sit with them, not sit with them, but virtually sit with them and walk them through a step-by-step thing of, okay, in the morning, you're going to get up an hour before your kids. And from this chunk of time, you're going to do this. Then from this chunk of time, you're going to do this to really implement those habits. Because I notice if I give a protocol and I'm just like, okay, start doing X, Y, Z, they're like so overwhelmed that they just don't even do it. And they're like, oh my God, I don't have time for this. When do I integrate this? And it just causes more stress, more chaos, which is the last thing that I want. So that's when it becomes a very like those 1% shifts, like I said, and also figuring out how it fits into your routine, not someone random person you follow on social media or your parent or your best friend or whoever it is. Like we want to make it about you and then integrate it, because if not, it's not going to be sustainable and you're never going to do it.
And so, there's all this hustle and bustle. Today's crazy busy world. Everyone's so busy and caught up in everything. The hustle culture bullshit. Many people struggle with maintaining a healthy diet due to time constraints, budget limitations, even conflicting information. Mm-hmm. People on social, as you just said, people on social media telling you should try this, your friend telling you, no, try this. And so what practical strategies or tips could you offer, a couple of tips you could offer to help individuals overcome those barriers and achieve sustainable dietary changes?
Yeah, that's a great question, because like I said, I just feel people are so consumed with information coming in one ear, information coming in this ear, that their nervous system goes into this fight or flight or freeze where they don't even do any of it because they're so overwhelmed. So it goes back to what I talked about earlier, is those 1% shifts of you don't have to wake up tomorrow and change your complete lifestyle. Like you don't need to be perfect. And I think that's a lot of the times people get hung up on, if I'm not doing it perfect, then I shouldn't do it at all. But if you do 1% better every day for the next month, you're already 30% better than you were on day one. So you need to have that mindset of you're getting better every single day. As long as you're better than the person you were yesterday, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Start with those small habits. If you're like, okay, I'm in a season of life where I have kids, they have practice every night, I have to get them to school, I'm so busy, all of this, and all you have really time to do is to get up 30 minutes earlier to get in a quick workout or to do a quick journal and meditation session or whatever it is, then so be it. Don't compare yourself to the other people who don't have kids and can have a 4-hour morning routine, a 4-hour night routine, and they are living their best life and all these things. Don't compare yourself to that, because you're not in that season of life. So I think a lot of people need to give themselves more grace and just understand you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to wait for Monday to start. Just start today. Do those 1% shifts and you're going to keep getting better, because a lot of people can start, but a lot of people don't stay. So there can be someone who is in that season of life where you have 4 hours of morning time, 4 hours of night routine, and they're living their best life. And they started that, but then in 30 days, they're like, I give up, versus the busy mom who can only get in 30 minutes to herself every day, but she does that for a whole year. You're way better than the person
for sure,
like 4 hours of morning routine.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. What is, in your opinion, the biggest piece of advice that you could give someone who feels unheard or dismissed by the healthcare system, by the Western medicine system?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that feel that way. And I think be cautious of what you allow in your ears. Be cautious. Like there's some things that you can hear, but it doesn't mean you accept them and you believe them. Just going in, if you go into the Western medicine, you're getting labs done and you feel absolutely horrible and you're hit with everything looks normal, take that with a grain of salt. Like know yourself and no, there's actually something wrong. My body is screaming for help. So dig deeper. You know your body better than anyone else. Even though I'm a functional health practitioner, I'm looking at it from a very different lens than a conventional medicine. My client still knows their body way better than I do, way better than what the labs are showing, way better than any of that. So just knowing that you have your own voice and surrounding yourself with people who lift you up and who are fighting for you. Not the people that are like, oh, yeah, probably everything's normal. You're going to have to live like that for the rest of your life. Sorry. Like, how depressing is that? No one wants to be around that. Just have your own voice. Be cautious of what you take in and what you actually accept to be true, and surround yourself by a like-minded community that is possibly in the functional wellness space, the holistic space, and that is just going to lift you up and encourage you to keep finding answers until you do.
But I mean, also on the flip side of that, a lot of people don't know that this stuff exists.
Exactly.
A lot of people have no idea that any of this exists, that there isn't an alternative to the Western medicine world. So how do you help those people who have no idea? I mean, they have to stumble on it somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of people don't know, and they do accept, what their doctor says, high authority, they went to school for it. And I think that becomes my role, and other people in this space is to do what we feel like we're called to do and educate people, get on podcasts, get on social media, speak to people, and tell people like about the functional medicine, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is answers that can be found, because at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. And if someone doesn't have a clue what functional health is and has never heard the word, they're going to continue to live the conventional lifestyle. But it's up to people like myself and other people to just really take our knowledge and put it out into the world and hopefully touch those people.
Yeah, very true. If you could change one thing about the way people approach health and wellness, what would it be and why?
I think it goes back down to just the mindset piece of the perfectionism. I want to say probably like 90% of my clients, whether they admit they're perfectionists or not, I can feel it off of them. I can see it the way they message me and things like that. But I think for anyone going into a health journey or curious about it is knowing you don't need to be perfect. You literally don't need to be perfect. If you are trying to achieve perfectionism or trying to achieve being perfect in your health, I just want to tell you, you're never going to get there. So you're going to keep trying for the rest of your life, because it doesn't exist. Perfect health does not exist. You could have the healthiest human being who's doing all of the health things that the world says is good for you. They're still going to have an illness here and there. They're still going to have a symptom pop up. It doesn't mean they're doing anything bad. Like I said earlier, we live in a toxic world, and I think people just need to accept that. Focus on what you can control. You can control the foods that you put into your mouth. You can control the time you go to bed, the time you wake up. You can control if you decide to go to the gym or sit on the couch and watch Netflix. You can control that. You can't necessarily control the air in the environment or the products we're exposed to or all these different things that the world has just created to be. You can't control that. So just focusing on what you can control will help foster that, getting rid of that like perfectionism mindset, which then will make your healing journey way more enjoyable, way more sustainable, and not feel like death.
For those who are unfamiliar, could you explain how gut health and hormones are interconnected and why one affects the other?
Yes, gut health. So bad hormones, like quote unquote bad hormones, if you have imbalanced hormones, is often due to a result of something else. So a lot of people think like hormones, it's the root cause to all of my symptoms. No, it's not the root cause. It's a result of the problem. So there's a hidden problem, whether that's overgrowth of bad bacteria, whether that's a gut pathogen, whether that's mold, whatever it is, that is disrupting your hormones and causing them to be out of balance. So if you want to address your hormones, you need to address your gut health. You need to address your liver health, your mindset. It keeps going back to all of the same things of looking at the body as a whole rather than individual parts. But then that even takes us back to what we were talking about earlier. Okay, you have all these gut issues. We want to get rid of them, but we also want to make sure they don't come back. So you can have sustainable, long-lasting, healthy hormones, which goes back to the diet, the lifestyle, the sleep, the mindset, all of those things. It's just all interconnected, and you need to look at it from that whole piece.
And so what's your vision then, your personal vision for the future of functional health, and particularly in addressing gut health and hormones?
Yeah, I would love for it to become more popular. And I think it has been recently, but not as much as it should be. And I don't want to necessarily say that it takes over conventional medicine. Like you said, there's a time and a place for it. And we definitely don't want to get rid of it. We do need it. but it shouldn't be like the holy grail, everything like glorifies, it's the only solution. Having that conventional and functional piece come together to work together, and just hopefully those people who aren't familiar with functional medicine are becoming more aware of it. They're becoming educated on it. They're becoming more in tune with their body. So that is like, would be amazing if the world started turning more towards that and long-lasting solutions and healing their body rather than a quick round of antibiotics, a thing of medications, a diet essentially, and just looking for that longer-term solution.
Do you see that happening where Western medicine works hand in hand with functional health? Have you seen much of that, or do you see that happening? I mean, I think I'm not in this world, but just my opinion through conversations I've had with other women who work in this world, the doctors, like the medicine doctors, the old dogs, you'll never change their minds. It's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So is it a matter of waiting out that generation of doctors to leave the field, right, and new blood coming in to start to look at things differently and change that world?
Yes and no. I think for sure, like you said, like it's hard, like they're so stuck in their own ways, their own beliefs and stuff that you're never going to change them. But we're also not going to change the new generation if we don't change the education that they're being taught.
Right.
Because like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of these people are going through medical school and all these things, and they're not being taught about diet, about lifestyle. My fiance is a nurse.
It's funny.
Oh, go ahead.
It's funny you say that because I had a conversation with someone a while back, and we were talking about that. And she told me that when people are going through medical school, I think she said they're given 2 weeks or a week or something on diet in the whole program, in the whole 4 years or 5 years or whatever it is focused on diet. That's ridiculous. So you're right. The education piece, going back to school and changing how the program, the curriculum is set up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Because like I was saying, my fiance is a nurse, and when he was going through the schooling and I was going through my schooling of the functional medicine, I was like sharing some of the stuff I was learning, and I would say these words. He's, what's that? I'm like, you don't know what that is?
You don't know?
I'm like, how do you not know? That's like the epitome of health. Like, how do you not know what that is? And it's crazy, but they're just not taught at all about it. So we can't necessarily shame like our nurses or providers. It's just, they literally went to school and they were barely taught anything. They were mostly just taught medications. They weren't even taught about how the body necessarily functions. And those 2 weeks of nutrition advice is telling them, make your clients drink more milk and have more calcium. And it's like the nutrition advice they're getting isn't even fully accurate. So it literally comes down to the education of changing what is being fed into their mind, so then they can go out into the world and their careers and make a difference.
The system is so broken in so many areas. So many facets of it are just broken.
Wow.
It needs an overall. I had one of the women I interviewed tell me that if you can picture trying to turn around one of those huge riverboats in Louisiana, trying to turn that around is like trying to turn the healthcare system around.
Yeah.
It's like, that is a monumental task to undertake. And it takes a long time.
For sure.
It's horrible. But it's one step at a time, right? With people like yourself, as you said, sharing, getting yourself out there on podcasts and sharing about functional health and how important it is, and that this is an alternative for people.
Exactly.
Right? So what is one message then that you'd like to share with every woman listening about their health, their body, and their power to heal?
I think one of them is, you are beautiful and wonderfully made. Don't let the world tell you anything different. And just be cautious of what the information you take in. The social media is feeding you one thing, and then next thing you know, you're so overwhelmed, you don't know who to believe. Your nervous system is now way more stimulated than it was before, and all of these things. And just understanding that as a woman, we have the power to literally change the world, but it comes down to if you believe in yourself and being capable of doing that. So many women have a desire inside of them and a passion that's inside of them that's stirring, but they push it aside because they have to be a mom, they have to be a wife, they have to play all these roles in the world. And it's, yes, there's a time and a place for that. And I'm not saying neglect your kids, neglect your family. Yes, still prioritize that, but also prioritize you. And a lot of women forget to prioritize themselves. It's once they have kids, that's out the door. It doesn't need to be that way. Just because it's the common thing to do of basically stop living your life and now making your kids your number one priority, you got to find a balance between that. Because you're not neglecting your kids. You want to be the best mom and the wife and all that you can be, but you can't do that if you're not prioritizing yourself. If you're not first filling your cup, how are you going to fill the cup of other people? And I just hope that message gets to other women and people listening to this is fill your cup first. And I promise you, you're not being selfish. You're not going to ruin all these other things in your life. Your kids can take a break from you for 5 minutes. If you just need 5 minutes to take a deep breath, they're still going to be there. They might be screaming at you the whole time, but they're still there. They're still going to be okay. And just take time to prioritize yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to those desires and those passions, because when you fill your cup first, everything changes.
Beautifully said, and a very important message. Thank you for sharing that. Veda, what do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I feel like I have a very empathetic personality. I like to think of myself as someone who's extremely non-judgmental, and I like to look at someone not based on necessarily who they are today. If they have flaws, if they have faults, it's a result of their past. It's a result of unresolved trauma. It's a result of those limiting beliefs and all those things. And I feel like my purpose in this world and my mission in this world is to literally show women and other people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And no matter how many things are being thrown at you that are negative and you feel like you're stuck and you feel like you're nobody and that you're never going to get to a certain place in life, like I want to show them that you just have to believe in yourself, that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how dark you think your situation is, your season of life is, trust me, I've been there and I did not think I would make it to the other side. But I'm here to tell you, like, you will 100% do that. And I just hope that I can, in this world, that's something that I can help show other women, is that you don't always have to feel stuck, unwanted, not beautiful, all those things. Like, you can get to the other side, and you will. You just have to believe it, because I believe in you.
Beautiful. Now, speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
That's a great question. I feel like my word of success has changed. When I first got the desire to start a business, I label success as getting a lot of clients, making a lot of money, like living this quote unquote rich life. But I now look at success of having a good balance between everything. And what I've realized is that the amount of money or the amount of clients, that hasn't brought me more joy. That is not the thing that makes me happy. It's not the thing that brings me joy. The thing that makes me happy is when clients text me and say I've changed their life. Or when clients text me and they're like, I'm so happy I met you. Like, that is what literally puts the biggest smile on my face. So I think success is just truly comes down to when you find that balance between like your work life, your personal life, your friendship, all of those things, and you are experiencing joy from making a difference in other people's lives.
Love it. What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after you learned it?
Other than all the health things, I would definitely say finding my relationship with God. Before I went through my health journey, I had no relationship with God. I didn't really believe he existed. I thought that was gibberish and all of that stuff. But through my journey, it was actually funny. Right before my health journey, I prayed and I said, can you show me you're real? I'm like, I don't believe you're real and I need to see it to believe it. And I obviously can't physically see you. And through my journey, that was tough. That was hard. I went through some really dark seasons, but it got to the point where I was so depressed and the world couldn't give me a solution. And that's where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be curious. I'm just going to seek out God. And ever since then, I mean, it's been a journey. Like, there's still ups and downs, but my relationship with him is the strongest it's ever been. It went from not believing to now being a full believer. And I think that was one of the biggest things that changed my life, truly.
Wow, that is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
I feel like empowerment is stepping into the role of who you feel like God's called you to be, or who you feel like you have this like strong desire and passion on your heart for, and not ignoring it. I was just in one of my groups I was in, we were reading a book called Rebel. It's a really good book, but it talks about how so many of us have desires and passions that we push aside because life happens and all these things happen and people are miserable. They're stuck working the 9 to 5 and they barely have time for themselves and all these things. And it's because you're not living your true purpose. You're not living your true desire. If you were, you would love it. Like, obviously there's going to be days where you don't want to go to work and you just want to do nothing all day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be to a point where you're like counting down the days to retirement because you hate your life type of thing. So I think empowerment is just stepping in to that identity that you feel like you're being called to and honoring it and taking that leap of faith, even if it's scary, even if the world is telling you shouldn't do that, even if the world is doing opposite of what you're doing, empower yourself and step into that role.
If it's on your heart, it's there, it's meant for you. And yeah, there's so many people that go through this life, even living for those 2 days at the end of the week, living for the weekend and pissing away those 5 days because you're not present. You're wishing them away. It's, oh, I can't wait till Friday. It's the weekend. And then Sunday comes around again. It's back to work tomorrow. And the cycle starts all over again. It makes me really sad to think about all the people who live that way. And I was guilty of it at one point. It's not living. You're just existing. Exactly. And I think that's horribly sad. People need to, but again, this is tied into doing the work to figure out what your purpose is, to figure out what you are here to do, right? It takes work. It doesn't just drop into your lap and, okay, this is what you need to do. Exactly. You have to do the work to figure it out. And people don't want to do the work. They want that silver bullet. They want that quick fix always with everything. And that's not the way the world works.
Exactly. Yeah. People want that instant gratification. I mean, I'm guilty too. We
all are.
My senior year of college, I thought I wanted to be a therapist. That's what I went to school for. I was looking into grad schools for it. And all of a sudden I got hit with, no, you're meant to start your own business and be a functional practitioner. And I was like, that didn't just come overnight. Like, I literally went to school to become a therapist. That wasn't no instant gratification. And a lot of people it's like the supplement. Give me a quick fix. Tell me now. I want to know now. If you don't tell me now, I'm going to continue to live my life. And that wasn't meant for me. But it is. It requires a lot of inner healing, just journaling, meditating on it, reading personal development books, surrounding yourself with leaders. And that's when you'll get that answer of, oh, this is actually what I'm meant to be doing. It could take weeks. It could take months. It could take years. But don't give up on yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing. Okay. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Empathetic.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Caring.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Jesus.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
Personality.
And that concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. If other people could use 3 words to describe you, what would you want those 3 words to be?
I would say non-judgmental, a listener, and a caregiver.
What is one lesson your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
That the only true joy comes from God. No worldly thing can provide that.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
That's a good one. I feel like we unpacked a lot here. I don't even know. I feel like we touched on like the gut, the mindset, the hormones, my story, my life, all of those things. I don't know, maybe just another health question, I guess. Another question, a health question, lab testing. I don't know.
I guess I did my job, so that's good. Thank you. What is your why, Veda?
My why is because, as I've touched upon a lot through this podcast, is I know what it feels like to feel in such a dark place that you don't think there's a way out of it. And I have experienced that mentally, physically. When I went through my health journey, I was in high school, college. Those aren't the years that you want to experience that stuff. You want to be out partying with your friends. And I had to overcome a lot of mindset battles, I think, at such a young age. And I now now that I've overcome so many of those things, I now have such a huge desire to go out into the world and to tell people my story, but not only tell them for them to learn about me, but to also transform them and to know that no matter what situation or season of life that you are in, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. That's like my motto. Like my program's called like Total Body Glow Up, because I want them to literally find the glow in their life that they've been lacking.
Beautiful. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Wow. You hit me with some tough questions. Oh gosh. With a woman, I feel like I don't know a specific person, but I feel like they need to be much older than me, like have lived their life, and that can provide tons of wisdom, because it's good to be surrounded by people our age and to encourage you, inspire you. But when you're surrounded by someone who has walked the walk and can tell you everything's going to be okay, like everything is going to work out, I feel like that would be the most encouraging thing. So I can't think of a specific person, but I would definitely say someone much, much older than me who has done life ultimately.
Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
That every season of darkness and every season that you feel like life sucks, truly, always is gifted with a season of glory and hope. And if you just have that mindset, the battles you face in life, which you're going to for the rest of your life, don't seem as horrible when you know that there's a lesson being taught in this season and that there's something good that's going to come out of this season.
Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Some words of wisdom I feel like I would say is be more present in the moment rather than living in the past or the future. Life goes by way faster than you think. Soak up every moment. You're not promised tomorrow, so don't worry about tomorrow. Just focus on today. And then I would encourage people to just prioritize their health, because it's the most important thing. Like, you don't have another body in the closet. Like, this is the one body you have. It's not like a car where you can go get another one if it stops working. You got to take care of it. And then lastly is I would just encourage more people to get curious about God, whether you believe he exists or whether you don't. Just be curious. Just ask people questions about it and just have that curiosity start sparking on your heart.
Beautifully said. Veda, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today and share a little bit about your story, your journey, and the beautiful and powerful work that you're doing and sharing your light with the world. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you for sharing all of the information and wisdom and knowledge that you've gained through your experiences and through the work you do. Could you please share with the audience where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about who you are and the work you do?
Yeah, so you can find me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's Wellness by Veda, so Wellness by Veda. And then I also have a website, which is wellnessbyveda.com. But I'm on my socials almost daily. I post tons of health information there, a little bit about my life. So if you want to follow me there, check me out there, go right ahead.
Beautiful. Thank you once again. It has been an absolutely beautiful and powerful conversation. I appreciate you, and I am grateful to now have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Thank you for being here today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Veda Leclerc. She is a functional health practitioner that focuses on gut health and hormones. Have a beautiful day, Veda. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.